You're listening to the Telltale Channel. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. On March 20th, 2026, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses posted a 16-minute video on their website. A man named Garrett Loesch sat in front of a camera and, in the most clinical tone you can imagine, dismantled one of the biggest pieces of the blood transfusion doctrine. The doctrine that's been killing people for 80 years. He didn't call it a reversal. He didn't apologize. He called it a clarification. And the language he used, the quote he picked, the stuff he quietly walked past, that's what I want to talk about today. Let's get into it. For people who don't know the background, Jehovah's Witnesses have a policy against blood transfusions. If you accept one, you get kicked out of the religion. You get shunned. Your family stops talking to you. Your friends stop talking to you. You're dead to them. That's been the rule since 1961. They've added a bunch of exceptions over the past 75 years. Certain blood fractions became a conscience matter, as they call it. Cell salvage during surgery, hemodilution, factor VIII for hemophiliacs. They used to get you kicked out, and one by one, they got reclassified. But there was one thing they held the line on: preoperative autologous blood donation. At its most basic, it means this. Your doctor takes some of your own blood a few weeks before a big surgery, stores it in a bag, and puts it back in you during the operation. Your blood, not anyone else's, yours, stored and returned. That was banned, and if you did it, you got shunned. As of March 20th, it's a conscience matter. As of March 20th, it's a conscience matter. And the actual quote Loesch used to justify this is where it gets interesting.
The Bible does not comment on the use of a person's own blood in medical and surgical care.
The Bible does not comment. That's the whole argument. The Bible doesn't talk about it, so you're free to decide. Except the Bible also doesn't comment on blood transfusions from other people, because blood transfusions didn't exist when the Bible was written. Nobody was doing IV therapy in 30 AD. So by his own logic, regular transfusion should also be fine. They opened a door they've been refusing to open for 75 years. And he has to know that. Here's where their logic gets fascinating. Loesch cited the October 2000 Watchtower as the source for this new rule. Said it was just a clarification of what they've always taught. Except the exact article explicitly bans the thing they just approved. This is from the same article. Quote, occasionally a doctor will urge a patient to deposit his own blood weeks before the surgery, and collecting, storing, and transfusing of blood directly contradicts what is said in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. Blood is not to be stored, it is to be poured out. Blood is not to be stored, it's to be poured out. From the article he cited. In March 2026, he told members this is allowed. In October 2000, the source he pointed to said it directly contradicts Scripture. Both of those cannot be true. That's the whole game. I asked my mom what she thought, an active Jehovah's Witness. She said nothing changed. They just reaffirmed what they've always said. I reminded her of the time my dad needed open heart surgery and nobody would perform it for him, and pointed out that this would change that. She said, doesn't seem different to me. The rule is new, but the strategy isn't. Jehovah's Witnesses have been moving the goalposts on different expectations and rules since day one, and the pattern is always the same. Strict rule, people die, quiet reversal, no apology, move on. Here's the timeline. Before 1945, the Watchtower Society praised blood donation. One of the magazines from 1940 tells the story of a woman whose life was saved by an emergency transfusion from her doctor. Written approvingly, like good for everyone involved. In 1945, they declared blood transfusions a sin. Just decided it one day. In 1961, they made it a disfellowshipping offense. Take a transfusion and you lose everything and everybody you've ever loved. In 1964, they extended the rule to pets, believe it or not. You couldn't give your dog a transfusion. Couldn't use blood-based fertilizer in your garden. Couldn't feed your animals certain kinds of dog food. I'm not making this up. There was a whole letter-writing campaign to pet food companies to verify that their pet food was blood-free. Pets! Aren't cats obligate carnivores? Do they think cats don't eat blood fractions, or blood products in the wild? This is active doctrine, by the way. As an ex-Jehovah's Witness, I can tell you that if they didn't retract it, it is active doctrine. They have a board who reviews old writings and revises positions. They probably realized how ridiculous the ask was, so the campaign is over, but if push came to shove, they would absolutely disfellowship somebody for this. Just like they disfellowship somebody for refusing to use a New World Translation of the Bible. Are you allowed to use the King James? Absolutely. Do they like it? Absolutely not. They wouldn't disfellowship you for using the wrong Bible. It would probably be something like not respecting Jehovah's loving arrangement. Anyway, in that same 1961 Watchtower that made refusing transfusions a disfellowshipping offense, their official published teaching at the time, quote, "The poisons that produce the impulse to commit suicide, murder, or steal are in the blood. They said blood makes you commit murder." That was their medical claim. The same organization that printed that sentence is the one whose rule book you're supposed to trust with your life. Just a reminder, I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out my Patreon. If you're not going to donate, you don't have to, but follow me there at the very least, owenmorgan.com/Patreon. Just in case something happens with the government or whatever, it would be really good if you had some way to connect with me and my content. I'm really concerned about that, and maybe you should consider that for other creators too. Through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they started cracking the door. Hemophiliacs got factor 8. Hemodilution was allowed. Cell salvage during surgery was allowed. All of these used to get members kicked out. One by one, quietly reclassified. It might seem like a small thing, but remember, they're overseeing 9 million people. Out of 9 million Jehovah's Witnesses, how many deal with these types of conditions? Not zero. Probably around 100,000 each year. If we apply the ratio from the United States, about 1.3% need a blood transfusion each year in the US. 1.3% of over 9 million is about 115,000. These are people who can't follow rules or they die. Car accidents are commonly cited because those are more frequent than hemophiliac cases, but when you're working on a grand scale like this, the small statistics add up. Then in June 2000, they made a massive change. They split blood into primary components and fractions, and declared that fractions are a conscience matter, which is the paradox ex-Jehovah's Witnesses have been talking about for 25 years. A witness can now accept blood fractions that, if you add them all together, equal the contents of whole blood. The material is identical, but give them whole blood directly in one bag and it's a sin. Give it to them in separate bags and it's fine. That's the kind of theological garbage that only makes sense if you're engineering the doctrine backwards from the conclusion. It doesn't start with the Bible and land at a rule. It starts at a rule and backfills the Bible. And for that matter, the Bible verse they mistakenly used to justify the doctrine basically says you have to bleed an animal before eating it. Pour it on the ground. Is using blood fractions pouring it on the ground? The verse doesn't apply to blood transfusions at all, obviously, but the fraction bit directly contradicts their perspective. And now 2026 knocks another wall down. The autologous storage ban is gone. There's not much left standing. I'm glad they're moving in the right direction, but why don't they just reform the whole system? Why not tell people they're allowed to get transfusions? What is the material difference between getting blood fractions and getting the whole thing? The difference is their pride. This isn't an unprecedented shift, though. They've done this exact thing before. In 1967, the Watchtower Society declared organ transplants to be cannibalism. The actual language, quote, "Did this include eating human flesh? No, that would be cannibalism, a practice abhorrent to all civilized people. Those who submit to such operations are thus living off the flesh of another human. That is cannibalistic," end quote. Watchtower, November 15th, 1967, pages 702 to 704. Cannibalism! That was the word. Kidney transplant, heart transplant, cornea transplant. You were a cannibal. That was the official teaching. For 13 years, that's what witnesses were told. Kids died. Adults died. There's a case of a 13-year-old girl named Lori Mason in Massachusetts, 1978. She had aplastic anemia. Her sister could have given her bone marrow. The family refused because of the cannibalism rule. She died. 2 years later, the rule flipped. In March 1980, the Watchtower Society reversed it. They hid it in a questions from readers column buried in the magazine. Transplants are now a matter for conscientious decision. No apology or acknowledgement. When they updated their publication index, the 1967 article that called transplants cannibalism was not listed under transplants. They scrubbed it from the index. They didn't pretend it didn't happen, they just made it harder for their own members to find. How many witnesses died refusing transplants between 1967 and 1980? We don't know. The Watchtower Society never released a number. There's no academic study. It's a 13-year window of preventable deaths the organization never publicly accounted for. That's the pattern. And that's what they just did again with autologous blood storage in 2026. Believe it or not, that's not even the worst part. In 1994, Jehovah's Witnesses published an Awake magazine with a cover story titled Youths Who Put God First. On the cover, 26 photos. 26 Jehovah's Witness kids, all dead. Every single one died refusing a blood transfusion. The article opens on page 2 with this, quote, "In former times, thousands of youths died for putting God first. They're still doing it. Only today, the drama is played out in hospitals and courtrooms, with blood transfusions the issue. Thousands of youths died for putting God first. They are still doing it." That is the Watchtower in their own magazine, celebrating the deaths of their own children as martyrs, comparing a 12-year-old bleeding out in a pediatric ward to early Christians being executed under Roman emperors. One of them was Lisa Kosak, age 12. The article quotes her directly, saying she would, quote, "fight and kick the IV pole down and rip out the IV, no matter how much it would hurt, and poke holes in the blood," end quote. A 12-year-old describing how she would physically attack the equipment trying to save her life. And her church published it, not as a warning or regret, as celebration. That same 1994 issue cites a Watchtower article from June 1991, page 15. That article told Jehovah's Witness parents, and this is exact phrasing, to, quote, "hold practice sessions in which each youth faces questions that might be posed by a judge or a hospital official," end quote. Practice sessions. So when a doctor or a judge was standing over a dying child asking if they wanted to live, the kid could give a rehearsed answer. That is coaching children for their own deaths. There's no other way to describe it. Don't get me started on the Hospital Liaison Committee, the committee of elders who go from hospital to hospital, visiting Jehovah's Witnesses in life-threatening conditions to make sure their interests are represented, quote-unquote. I'm sure we know whose interests they're talking about. They've never retracted that cover or apologized for it, by the way. As recent as 2016, governing body member Tony Morris told a story at a convention about a young witness who died refusing blood. The audience applauded. That's the culture this doctrine built. It didn't stop in 1994. Unfortunately, the Watchtower Society sued to have the video taken down. There are articles written about it, and I remember watching it myself when it came out in 2016, but it's gone now. Now let's talk about the actual body count. The part news coverage tends to skip. Nobody has a perfect number. The Watchtower Society doesn't publish one for obvious reasons, but the best estimate comes from AJWRB. Associated Jehovah's Witnesses for Reform on Blood, a group of mostly current and former witnesses who want the doctrine changed. Their number is about 33,000 preventable deaths from 1961 to 2016. It's an extrapolation from peer-reviewed surgical mortality data, not a direct body count, but it's the best number anybody has, and the real number isn't lower than that. The cleanest data is on pregnant women. A 2022 review in the International Journal of Obstetric Anesthesia pooled data from the UK, US, Netherlands, and Japan, and found that Jehovah's Witness women who refuse blood during childbirth die at 44 to 160 times the rate of the general population. Not 44 to 160% higher, 44 to 160 times higher. If you're a witness woman giving birth, the most dangerous thing in the delivery room is the rule your own church placed on you. This has been in the courts for decades. There's a U.S. Supreme Court case from 1944, Prince v. Massachusetts. Justice Rutledge wrote a line that basically every court since has cited. Parents may be free to become martyrs themselves, but it does not follow they are free, in identical circumstances, to make martyrs of their children, end quote. You can die for your beliefs. You cannot decide your child dies for yours. Even dying for your own beliefs is a little iffy. Imagine your religion demands human sacrifice, as this one does. But imagine it's a more intense version of human sacrifice. Imagine the expectation is that once a month, somebody from the congregation is taken to a mountaintop, chained to a table, and stabbed to death. It doesn't really matter if the person doing it is doing it voluntarily, or even if it's their own hand doing the stabbing. You can't do that. And you certainly can't do it to a 12-year-old. If this is framed in any other situation, people would see it for what it is. Case after case. Dennis Lindbergh, 14, Washington State, 2007. The judge let him refuse. The kid said he was giving himself a death sentence. He died that day. Bethany Hughes, 17, Alberta, 2002. Courts forced transfusions, but her father was shunned and divorced by her mother for supporting the treatment. Real kids, real families torn apart, not abstractions. But here's a bigger question. How do you get people to do this? How do you convince a mother to watch her daughter bleed out? Same answer as every high control group. Scientologists do it with disconnection. The FLDS does it with expulsion. Jehovah's Witnesses do it with disfellowshipping. You build a system where the cost of leaving is higher than the cost of watching your child die. That's what shunning does. Your family cuts you off. Your friends cut you off. Your whole social world vanishes in an afternoon. Break the rule on blood, and that's what happens to you. They can't legally throw you in a jail cell for breaking the rules, so they lock other people in willingly and lock you out. As I mentioned earlier, there's a hospital liaison committee. Teams of Watchtower Society approved elders who show up at the hospital bed to make sure the patient doesn't change their mind. They're not there to support you. If you waver, they document it, so when you recover, they can assemble a judicial committee and kick you out. An anonymous HLC whistleblower wrote on AJWRB that they personally saw about 4 witnesses die who could have been saved but didn't know the specific blood products the society had already approved. They died of confusion because the rule book they were handed was deliberately unclear, and you might have to go back 50 years in the literature to actually know the doctrine. When the rule changes, like it did in March, they have a built-in escape hatch called New Light. They cite a verse in Proverbs about light getting brighter and say God is slowly revealing more truth over time. Sounds humble, sounds noble, but what it actually means is they never have to apologize or reckon with the people who died under the old rule. They never have to admit they were wrong. The old light quietly turns off, the new light comes on. You keep marching. One former Jehovah's Witness put it better than I could. New lights have a habit of growing dimmer, while old ones get switched back on. Because they've reversed their position on organ transplants, vaccines, serums, hemophilia treatment, and now autologous blood. The arrow only points one way for now. The biggest problem with New Light is that the light isn't getting brighter. The light is a completely different color now. They jump from allowing organ transplants to banning them to allowing them again. It isn't like walking into a dark room and turning on a flashlight. It's like going inside to find that you're outside again. It's nonsense. It's not how the world works. So what does a March 2026 change actually mean? Not much. This is being covered in the news like it's a dramatic softening. AP ran a story. Religion News Service picked it up. Boston Globe covered it. The framing is always Jehovah's Witnesses ease policy on transfusions. But theologically, this is minor. Another fraction-sized carve-out in a doctrine that's been collapsing piece by piece since 2000. Most of what used to be banned is already a matter of conscience. Autologous storage was one of the last holdouts. It fell. What it actually proves is the doctrine was never about the Bible. It was about organizational unity. A line drawn so leadership could tell who was in and who was out. And when that line became legally inconvenient, when it cost them their registration in Bulgaria in the 90s, then Norwegian courts started stripping their subsidies, then they started losing educated second-generation members, they moved the line. The line moves. The Bible doesn't. The 26 kids on that 1994 Awake cover are still dead. The 13-year-old in Massachusetts who needed her sister's bone marrow is still dead. She'd be about my brother's age, maybe even an ex-Jehovah's Witness YouTuber. The mothers who bled out during childbirth are still dead. And the organization whose magazine in October 2000 said blood transfusions directly contradict what is said in Leviticus and Deuteronomy is now telling you in March 2026 that the Bible does not comment on the use of your own blood. Both of those statements cannot be true. They're both from the Watchtower Society. One of them is wrong, and the people who died under the wrong one are never getting an apology. Anyway, that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Every now and then I watch this dude, Dean Withers. He debates people, and he debated a QAnon nutcase. I thought it was fascinating. Let's listen.
Make fun of God. Do it. Do it, because you know what? Everybody that come at me in different ways, they're no longer here. They are no longer here. People that come at my back, I said, I'm not going to fight my battles anymore, God. You said you're going to fight them for me. When I turned them over to him,
God's killed people for you?
Absolutely. God, I didn't tell him to.
God,
Jesus.
God has killed people for her. I mean, she is so unglued from reality, dude.
All right, Jill, why the hell do you support the worst president of your life?
He's getting done. He's got a backbone, like none of the rest. I seen a video where you guys didn't say when Hillary was saying, Iran, if I become president, I'm going to obliviate you.
Obliviate? Okay, I'm sorry. I haven't heard that word in a long time. Obliviate. To forget, erase, or cause something to fall into oblivion. Okay, well, apparently that's actually the correct word to use in this situation. I think she used the correct word completely by accident, but also I don't remember Hillary Clinton saying she was going to obliviate Iran.
Trump's just doing what everybody ran their mouth on and just pretends like they're going to do it. Then they get in office and then they forget about everything they promised you, nutcases.
Okay, why are you calling me the nut job when you're the one supporting a PDF rapist who's pardoned in
Oh, really? Really? I hope he sues you for that, because he's not. His name is in there, buddy. Only because when he was running and when people were talking, and he's the only one that went to freaking the lawyer for those girls and told him anything he knew. And he's the one who went to that Gayleen and told her, stop your crap. When he found out, and he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, and they also got into it over some land. Why don't you go find out when he...
Hey, Jill.
Listen, why don't you find out, look at the date when he...
Boy, she likes just going on and on. No, this is a lie. This is just a complete fabricated, fictitious lie. She never said she was going to obliviate or obliterate Iran.
Bought the island, okay?
Then Jill, you seem pretty lost.
I ain't lost.
Yeah, you clearly
are.
are.
And all this scripting you do, you can't take it with you when you go, okay?
Oh,
you can't take it with you when you go. It's going to burn, baby, burn right along with you.
Oh.
Yes, he's the grifter, not Donald Trump.
Oh, are you mad? A young white boy be popping?
No, I ain't mad.
Clearly you are. Clearly you are, Jill. Clearly you are. No, clearly you are. Jill, stop it. Clearly you are.
Oh, I'm pissed at your deceiving.
You're so pissed.
Young minds. You are
Jill, take a breath.
The mind of the young.
Jill.
Okay? These
Jill.
young idiots believe you.
Jill.
It's crazy. It blows my freaking mind.
I think that your mind got blown a long time ago. It just never came back. It was blown away in the wind.
And guess what? I'm still a lot smarter than your dumb ass. How's that? What's that say for you?
How many amendments are there to the Constitution?
Amendments, I think, 24, 27?
27, I believe. Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway.
Wait, which number? Is it 24 or 27?
I think 27, maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
You don't know how many amendments there are?
I'm actually surprised she got that right. I believe it's 27. Yeah. She's obviously not very, educated. Not to, hurt her feelings or anything, but...
You've been fed a bunch of bullshit lies. It's been twisted. They turned the truth and twisted it so much, and you guys are believing it. Or you're just doing this for the grift, and you get your little talking points from the Democrats, just like some other ones do, and then you got to stick to the script. And then you can even pull up fake charts that they've thrown together and show them, say, look where I got this. Here it is.
No, Jill.
So all of the charts and all the proof that Democrats come with to prove that, Republicans are completely full of shit and pieces of trash, all of those charts are fake. She's manufactured an excuse to disregard all evidence she's given.
Oh, God.
So why are you doing it? Because you're going to answer for that one day, son.
To God.
I tried to help.
You're going to answer for it.
help you. That's all, Dean. I'm just trying to help the younger generation.
No, thank you for
because
trying to
they're
help me.
believing, you've been indoctrinated. This has been going on for decades. It's making us sick to our stomach.
So tell me where I go wrong here. But in response to the points you made about Epstein earlier, you said that he was one of the people that tipped off, the FBI.
Thank you, Aaron. See,
But
Jill
hey, Jill.
Go ahead.
I'm going to need you to
According
stop
to what?
correcting.
Go ahead. Go ahead. According to what? According to what? Go ahead.
God, she is so erratic, dude. What the hell is wrong with this person?
According to you, you said that he's actually one of the people that tipped Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell off to the FBI. But according to the Epstein files, he's not. And he only called the sheriff after they were already arrested to tell them, thank God you caught him. We've all known this for a long time and we're all so happy. Point number one, it's actually very frequent for the perpetrators of crimes to stay in the loop with the cops about said crime.
Thank you, guys.
And point number two, this also exposes Trump as a bad faith grifting liar that's been indoctrinating you because since
you're not even reading all of them, are you? You're picking and choosing. You're cherry picking, buddy. Why don't you go to the part where Wolf, who was writing that book, and said, "Can't we get it? Don't you got anything on him? Anything?" He goes, "I don't even have a massage on him. Not even."
Bro, what is she talking about? Hang on. Let me see if I can figure out. She said, "I don't even have a massage on him." That's about the Epstein files, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I have no clue what she's talking about. I honestly don't.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
A freaking massage. Read that part out loud right now. Dean, go get it out of the Epstein files and read it to these little gullible people.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So one person says they don't have anything on Trump, but then another woman testifies to the FBI that she was of a credible accusation against Trump and Epstein, saying that she was forced.
I caught her in too many lies. They caught her in way too many lies.
Oh yeah, so many lies. She was able to get millions of dollars from an estate from Epstein, right?
Okay, yeah. So this is a real quote, apparently. First, Epstein's former house manager, Juan Alessi, said in a 2009 deposition that Trump never stayed over at Epstein's Palm Beach home and never got a massage there. And second was an email that Epstein wrote himself. He told a journalist, Michael Wolff, that a victim worked at Mar-a-Lago and Trump knew of it and came to my house many times during that period, but he never got a massage, quote unquote. Okay, that doesn't change the fact that there are multiple victims listed in the Epstein files, victims of Donald Trump, like Jane Doe 4. He took advantage of a young girl, I think 13, Jane Doe 4. Pure, unadulterated evil. I don't care if he got a massage, quote unquote. He took advantage of a young girl.
Yeah, she tried to get money from Trump. A lot of them. What about the 23 girls?
Wait.
The 23 women that tried to get Trump, and he goes, "When I'm done with you all, I'm going to prove every one of you all wrong. I'm going to sue you all." And guess what? Boom! The cases all red. Gloria Allred put that together and said, "Let's get him. Let's get him." And they can't have all kinds of girls lie on him.
Bro, calm down. My God.
Had no pictures. They had nothing on him.
Jill.
What?
I was in the middle of my statement and you interrupted me. That was very mean.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Well, I don't even know where we're at because you're just going crazy. How about this? Here's a good point. You said that Donald Trump proved the women wrong that accused him of SA by suing them and winning. Therefore,
he didn't sue him.
That Donald Trump raped her by suing him and winning.
No, he didn't. He didn't rape her.
Well,
it was SA. And guess what?
He absolutely did, actually. The distinction between SA and that was, I think, the colloquial definition, it was a technicality. But the judge did say that she's well within her rights to call it what it was.
Did you see the interview with Carson? Huh?
No.
Did you see the interview with him? No? Where she said, when he's going, that it must have been brutal. She goes, "No, it didn't hurt. It just, most women think that grape is sexy."
That's a lie. E. Jean Carroll didn't say that. She said it was horrifying and painful. But people, when talking about this issue, this subject, view it as sexy. And that's a problem in society that should be resolved. That's what she said. But, Republicans are going to twist shit around in vile, disgusting ways, of course.
And he goes, we're going to go to break. And she goes, "You're really nice to talk to." He's like, She's a friggin' nutcase, dude.
Bro, get help. Serious. What is wrong with this woman? Just disgusting.
Okay? She named one of her
biggest projection I've ever seen. The world's largest nutcase accuses a accredited millionaire journalist of being a nutcase.
Do you see where she lives?
Like, Jill, could you prove your sobriety right now?
That money?
Wait, Jill, I just have a question. Can you prove your sobriety right now?
I don't drink. I don't drug. I don't do nothing. I probably should though. Anyway, did you see her on?
Okay, can I respond to the claims you made about the interview?
Wait a minute, hold on. The other interview where she thought she had all that money coming, she didn't get a dime. She said, "I'm gonna give it to all the SA victims," and then she got on an interview and said, "I'm gonna give you a penthouse. I'm gonna give you a
Bro, what is she talking about, dude? She's fucking everywhere.
car, and I'm gonna give." What the hell? Are you serious, dude? Come on. You don't believe that nutcase, do you? And guess what? Bird dogs up there in New York, they said we would have known if
Don't
Trump
do
walked
drugs,
in that
kids.
door. She said we would have known if Trump would have walked through that door, and never was that second floor ever empty from everybody being up there. Salespeople, people shopping, it's never been empty. She's caught in so many lies, and even the dress she said she had DNA on. They said it wasn't even in production.
It was in production. She's doing like rapid fire word association right now. That is insane. The dress that E. Jean Carroll wore was absolutely in production when the event took place. It absolutely was.
Getting caught, and it's coming out, baby, because the truth is coming out because Trump got back in. And then I want you to say, that crazy lady.
Listen,
Go find that crazy lady, Jill.
Listen, can you have...
Damn, she was right.
Oh, wow. Okay, Jill. I'm going to respond to that all. Okay? Listen, the grandkids got to come and just help you stay away from the unmute button. Point number one.
Yeah, somebody please, in this woman's life, I'm begging you, get on her DirecTV or her whatever, her Dish Network, and block Fox News and Newsmax. Somebody please, for the love of humanity.
You disputed E. Jean Carroll's claim against Trump based upon the interview that she had not with Carson, but with Cooper. Okay. And you disputed it on the basis of her saying that it didn't hurt, and a lot of women are sexualized rape. So first and foremost, what she said is that it was violent, not sexy. Okay?
And then she followed this statement.
Yes, that's correct. And that's wrong. She doesn't like that people view it that way, that they view it as something other than what it is.
Hey, Jill, can you control yourself?
I had to correct you when you're wrong.
Okay, the thing is that I'm not wrong.
You are. They can go watch it for themselves. Go look at it yourself. Don't believe him.
Well, that's the thing. I could actually just play it for you.
Oh, yeah,
right
Anderson
now to
Cooper.
prove that I'm
yeah,
right.
Anderson Cooper. Go look at the Anderson Cooper.
I could just play it for you to prove.
Go ahead. Pull it up right here. That's a good idea, baby. Come on. Pull it up. Show them how
She is so fucking weird, dude.
crazy this is.
Yeah, call her. It's a really good way to refer to victims of. You're crazy, Jill. You fucking know it.
Crazy for the truth. Crazy for the truth.
You are
crazy for the truth, she says.
You are so
You are demonic, and the demons come through this freaking screen right out of your.
You just called a victim of rape a crazy. I don't think I am the demonic one. Yeah, like,
she's a liar.
To yourself.
She wasn't great, dude.
Like, listen to yourself.
No, she's a liar.
Like, who talks like this? Like, legitimately, who talks like this?
Why don't you listen to her?
It's so gross. So right now, I'm actually looking for the photo. Sorry, not the photo. The video. I think it's on my Twitter likes of her talking to Anderson Cooper. But I found something as I was looking for that video. Can I show it to you? Because it really reminds me of you,
I can find it too. You want me to go look for it while I'm here?
No. Can I just show you something? Because it really reminds me of you.
That's right. You're gonna.
No. I'm gonna show it. I just want to take a quick intermission. Can I show you a photo that really reminds me of you?
Okay.
No, not that. Not that part. That
that's
part.
funny. I know,
she is so goddamn weird, dude.
That's what you go to, honey. When you're
I'm
losing,
just saying that really.
When you are losing a friggin' debate, baby, that's what you go to. You try to insult people. Well, guess what? You're going to be old one day, dude, if the Lord allows it. You're not promised.
I'm just gonna leave that there, Loki, for the rest of the debate. That's funny as hell. All right, I'm gonna go back to looking for it. It's really good. Oh my god, I'm dead. All right, I'm gonna
Pull
go
it
back
up.
to.
Show them how you're lying. Show 'em
I
how
just,
crazy
I know.
it is.
So I just gotta find it real quick. It'll only take a moment. Basically, what I'm pulling up is a conversation that Eugene Carroll had with Anderson Cooper, where she's like, "What happened to me? Like, it wasn't sexy, it wasn't sexual, it was violent." And then she goes on to talk about how a lot of people think that is sexy, and like clearly, yes, like victims of are going to center themselves in their own reality, and they're going to be hyper vigilant and aware of, right, like very like bad beliefs in reference specifically like to things such as so they will likely overemphasize the amount of people that find to be sexy. But I don't think that's a reason to condemn Eugene Carroll, or b a reason to dispute.
I didn't find it sexy at all. I didn't find it sexy at all.
Well, that's what she said. She didn't find it sexy. She found it violent, and she was speaking out against the people.
Can you show it? Just quit narrating for her.
I believe he does.
Was not thrown on the ground and ravished, which the word carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual.
Can you repeat what she just said?
Let her finish.
I know, but just repeat what she said so far.
So far, she said not sexual. Go ahead.
It hurt.
What did she say there?
Just finish. You'll understand why she said it hurt.
I know. We're
said
just
it hurt. Okay, go ahead.
Gonna, don't worry. We're gonna play the.
It hurt.
Okay, it hurts.
God, she is such a weird human being, dude.
But I think most people think as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of it as being sexy.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
We're just going to take a quick break. If you can stick around.
So imagine this. So you are out speaking against an injustice.
She said, why didn't you let her finish saying what she said to him? She came on to him as well.
Oh my God, dude, please. These people are f***ing vile and disgusting. Really. Anderson Cooper is gay. Okay, she was talking about a traumatic experience. Donald Trump supporters are bottom of the barrel disgusting and soulless and empty. Seriously, there is not a single redeeming quality in some of these people.
Yeah, let them hear that.
Yeah, the comment at the end is meaningless. But anyways,
bring
imagine
it back
this.
up, son. That's what I thought.
Why does it matter?
Move on
Just
him
see
right
her
then and
face.
there.
Okay, I don't mind showing you her face.
Too.
I feel like a victim.
So imagine this. You are speaking out against an injustice that has personally affected you. Imagine that you're a Black American and you're talking about how racism isn't funny. Racism is evil. Racism is violent. And then the person that you're talking to responds by saying, well, I think that most people think of racism as hurtful and violent. And then that Black person responds by saying, no, I think that most people think of racism as normal, acceptable, and funny. I mean, think about segregation. Clearly, the takeaway from anybody listening to that conversation would be as follows. This person is denoting how they find racism to be bad and highlighting the fact that they think other people find racism to not be bad. And when I'm listening to Eugene Carroll in this conversation highlight, visit sexy, visit sexual, it hurts. It's violent. And I think that most people think of sexy.
I believe she did.
Can you bring it back where she said violent?
Oh my God. Why the f does it matter? Seriously. The point here ultimately is that people view it differently in the media than it actually is. And Jill, this woman, is justifying hating Eugene Carroll for something that Donald Trump did. There is no moral bottom to these people. They are willing to go as low as it takes to support their cult leader. And it's disgusting. Tell me what you think in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. I'm writing a new book. It's titled God's People, the Churches in the Shadow of the Third Reich. And it's basically about, it's 16 short essays. Well, not short. 5,000 words each. 16 essays on different main characters in the church struggle, Hitler's attempt to take over the Protestant church. The thing that inspired me to do this is that I heard a story years ago that the Nazified Christians used to call themselves Christian nationalists. That was the term that they used to describe themselves. So I decided to start digging into this. I emailed some scholars that I know, and one of the scholars, the expert on Dietrich Bonhoeffer in the world, who's like a church figure in Nazi Germany, said it's not true. And that kind of set me back a little bit, but I continued digging and find that it is true. They did call themselves the Christian nationalists. Verified beyond a shadow of a doubt, that is the name they used for themselves, the Christian nationalists. That is interesting, right? I find this document in a book titled A Church Undone by Mary Salzberg. It was written by a guy named Dannenmann, Arnold Dannenmann, and he's like an early church figure in Germany in the 1920s and 30s. And I remember her putting in there, she translated a bunch of documents. That's what the book was. It was just a bunch of translated documents. One of those documents was written by Dannenmann, and it said, I believe, Wilhelm Kubi, who was an early governor in Nazi terms, a Gauleiter, she said, wanted to name the group the Protestant Nationalists. That stuck out to me because we're dealing with Christian nationalists today. So I go to some of the scholars and they say they were Christian nationalists, but that was not a name used at the time. Well, I find the original documents. I mean, let me show you. This is the document, Kirche im Dritten Reich, and it's basically the history of the early German church. It's a group called the DC, the Deutsche Christen. You can see it right here in fracture text. Very hard for like text recognition to detect and understand. But anyway, in this book, he tells the story. I translated this book using like translation tools and stuff and created an audiobook of it so that I could kind of, synthesize it or whatever. The Deutsche Christen, he lists them right here. That was the main Nazified denomination. And in this book, I think it's page 13, he refers to Evangelische Nationalisten. Yes, Evangelische Nationalisten, which is evangelical nationalist, kind of. But evangelische does not mean evangelical in German. It can mean gospel. It can mean evangelical. It can mean Protestant, or it can mean Christian, depending on the context. And in this context, I think it's totally fair to translate it as Christian nationalist. Anyway, I got this source document. I translated it. I have like translator's notes and everything with it. And it was really, really complicated to go through and figure out exactly what was being said. Fascinatingly, this book kind of tells it's a hagiography is what it's called. It basically tells the story of the early Nazified church from a positive perspective. Like this guy was rooting for the Nazi church. So they kind of make up stories about how Hitler was like the savior, messianic-like figure in this book. I mean, obviously it has fake stories in it, but it is fascinating to read what they were trying to build, the church history they were trying to build. I also got a copy of a guy named Reinhold Krauss. He gave a speech in 1933 at a sports palace. The Sportpalast is what it's called. It was just this big arena that could hold 14,000 people. But at this rally, there were 20,000 people present. I mean, it was a big thing. Every Deutsche Christen from Bavaria to Prussia, like all of them, were packed in there, clapping their hands into bloody nubs as he called the Old Testament a story about cattle traders and pimps, and was just tearing down Christianity to a degree that I can't even articulate. It was wild. And it was like this moment that the Christians realized, oh, these people are not on our side. They're pretending to try to reform Christianity from within. They're all scumbags. They're all lying scumbags. So that moment was the moment everything kind of fell apart for Hitler. He was trying to take over the church, and his takeover failed because of Reinhold Krauss. So in my book, God's People, I wrote kind of a biography of Reinhold Krauss. Again, untranslated originally. I had to translate that. And it was written in 1967 to 1968. I mean, we're talking like 75 years removed now. And it was really interesting to kind of read the justifications that the guy laid out for the bad decisions that he made. And he said, in not so many words, he was the victim of cancel culture. Seriously. He didn't use the words cancel culture, but that's what he about the entire time. They didn't even give me a hearing, he said, quote unquote. I didn't even get a hearing. I gave this speech at the Sports Palace and said they were cattle traders and pimps, which is a completely reasonable position to hold, and then they canceled me without a hearing. It's fascinating. I actually want to include this, which is 77 pages, so maybe not the whole thing. I don't know. And Reinhold Krause's Sports Palace speech in my appendix, like my translated versions I would like to include. This has never been translated to English before, this book. Excerpts have been, but it's never been translated. I'm not sure if Reinhold Krause's speech has been. Maybe it has. Maybe not the entire thing. Maybe only parts of it. I'm not sure. But I translated the whole thing, and I want to put that in the appendix as well. It's going to be super interesting. Anyway, I'm pretty excited about the book. I finished the Reinhold Krause chapter earlier today. I kind of tell the Sports Palace story. November 13th, 1933, Reinhold Krause stood on stage in front of 20,000 screaming German nationalists. He gave a 2-hour speech which would turn the tide of history for the German Christian Church forever. The NSDAP, the Nazi Party, was in the process of taking over the political landscape. Part of that process necessitated the takeover of the church. They called themselves the German Christian Movement. They were named the German Christians by Hitler himself. The movement wasn't created by Hitler, but it was focused by him. Before he named them the German Christians, they were known as the Christian Nationalists. Reinhold Krause was an early member of the Deutsche Christen, or the German Christians. He was a true believer. He believed Christianity should be de-Judaized. On stage, in front of 20,000 screaming fans, he called the Jews of the Old Testament cattle traders and pimps. He rewrote Jesus' story into one of a great Aryan fighter. He said the quiet part out loud, and it ended in disaster. The Protestant movement wasn't ready for a complete rewrite of their history. It was a conservative way of life. Change is difficult. In his memoirs, Krause pointed out the fatal flaw in the Nazified Christian movement. Quote, religious transformation cannot be achieved through propaganda and organization of a church political seizure of power, but can only happen slowly from person to person. Krause was stripped of his titles and position within the church the very next day. It turned out that Nazis didn't appreciate people saying the quiet part out loud that early in the power struggle. Anyway, I go through the whole thing. Oh, yes. Oh, my God. And something else I forgot. I went in search of something. I went in search of an article from the Völkische Beobachter, which is the Nazi newspaper. This bastard was hard to track down. I emailed archives and everything to find this thing. It was basically the starting gun. This is from January 10th, 1932. And this article on the left here, you can see it was written by Wilhelm Kubi, or Kuba, who's a Gauleiter, a governor for the Nazi party. But when the Nazis took control, the Gauleiter position in the party became governor. You know, there was no separation between party and state at that point, so he became a governor. And in 1932, this is before Hitler took power, he wrote this article in the Völkische Beobachter that basically said, it's time to take over the churches, conquer the church. It ends here, and then it continues in this column to the right here. If anybody wants to try to read fracture texts on a grainy, poor quality, let me zoom in. Anyway, this was the starting gun. Church turnout was very, very low at the time. Like, who votes in church elections? Like, who gives a shit, right? So when the Nazis told their people to go vote in the church elections, they all showed up and won their seats en masse, became part of the church senates and synods and everything else. This election, in which Kuba encouraged people to vote, ended with 1/3 of the Senate going to the Nazi Christians. And the following year, the next election, they won 2/3. And it was now called the Brown Synod. The Prussian Union Church body was called the Brown Synod because they all wore their brown uniforms, their Nazi uniforms, to the assemblies where they would be voting on things. and they pushed through the Church Enabling Act, the Ecclesiastical Enabling Act is what it was called, which basically gave, it concentrated power in the hands of the Nazis, and they passed the Aryan Paragraph, which banned Jewish converts to Christianity from being part of the pastorship or whatever. And it all started right here. This was hard to find. It literally took me days to find this document. So anyway, the point is that I'm writing a new book on this subject, if you guys are interested in it. God's People. Keep a lookout for it. An interesting story, and I will be talking a lot about Hitler's religious beliefs and stuff too. So tell me what you think in the comments. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.